This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pingrack. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Duck and Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Monday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Frank and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Folks, we are back. Hopefully you caught the updates that I threw out on the podcast and on YouTube. And we are going to get into some of the trials and tribulations of what it takes to do a podcast, Frank.
And we are going to absolutely talk about fishing.
We are. Can't wait. Lot to talk about. But I need to take care of some thank yous first, Frank. And I did this last night. I put out an audio version of just a shout out on the podcast to let everybody know what was going on. But a tremendous amount of people to thank. First thing I want to do, I want to thank the fans for being patient. There were so many fans that sent me emails and tried to help from the technology standpoint. And it has been a really, really brutal 2 weeks. And if you've listened to anything that I put out, hopefully you can tell that. But there are several people. I want to thank Chris in New Hampshire. He is a longtime listener, longtime fan. He helped me out. I had 4 engineers here in the studio trying to get this situation corrected. Patrick, who is a radio engineer, Mike, who is a network engineer, Dave, who is a television engineer, and then Mark, not me, another dude named Mark, who actually built the computer that we do this show from. It was so frustrating because we just couldn't figure out what exactly was going on. And then there was one last piece of equipment that I finally got to obtain on Sunday. I added that. I made a couple of changes, and lo and behold, here we are on Monday. We did a test last night with Frank and with Chris in New Hampshire, and everything, hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm sure they're going to tell me if it's not working, but hopefully we have got things dialed in. And somebody sent me an email, said, how can this happen if you have surge protectors? Well, it's kind of like when you go out and all you're catching is dinks and you can't catch anything else. That's kind of what happened. All right. Everybody else is bringing in 25 pounds and you're bringing in 10. Here's what happened. All right. As a result of some of the things that took place during the power outage, it just multiplied. And the hard drives went bad. The video cards went bad. The power source went bad. And not just this computer that we're streaming from right now, but the editing computer was totally shot also. And I got multiple emails from people, Frank, going, well, can't you just throw another computer in there? Well, it was a little bit more complicated than that. I wish it was that easy because I got computers in the house. I got computers in the office. It just wasn't that simple. I just couldn't go to another crankbait that you were catching all the fish on. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, you can look in the tackle box. Oh, well, that one kind of looks like what I was using.
Right.
Just doesn't work.
It's not the same.
Just doesn't work.
It is not the same. No. Yeah, I noticed the office is a little cleaner than it looked last night when we were testing everything out.
It was a mess, wasn't it?
It looked like you were moving.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I had. If you look at the little update video, I had wires, I had cables, I had mixing boards, well, I'll say this, just about every single piece of the equipment that we use had been replaced at one time or another during this 2-week period.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is
we're back.
You are.
We're back.
Yeah, here you are.
We're back. And I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, or hopefully everybody knows Matt. He is at Lake Norman practicing. He's in a really good position to if he performs well at this tournament and the remaining 3, there is a shot. Numbers got to work out, and a lot of it is dependent on what everybody else does. But he has a chance at making the Elite Series, and he's practicing today. And with all the testing going on that Frank helped me out with, I thought it would be best to leave him alone, let him do what he needs to do and take care of business both on and off the water. And Uncle Frank decided that, hey, he's going to step in and help me out. And I said it last night on the podcast that I did, Frank, you have been my therapist. You have been my rock. You have been the dude that has really gotten me through this situation, because it has been so much more than just the computers going haywire.
You are way too kind, my friend.
Yeah.
Way too kind. I don't deserve that kind of credit.
So I thank you, Frank, and thank you to the fans. And yes, there has been a lot going on in the fishing world over these last 2 weeks, and we'll get into that. You know, I don't know how much that you followed on what's been taking place. I did not watch any of it because obviously I didn't have a computer in the studio that worked. But Michael Neal, the performance that dude put on, I think it was 168 pounds on the final day. And the dude just blew away the field. So we're going to try and get Michael on. I know we were scheduled to have him on when he was going through some challenges because of the hurricane and all the rain that was coming through his area. So we will definitely try to get Michael Neal on. I'm also going to work on the remainder of the schedule this week. We will try and get Justin Hamner on, and then we're going to try and get Sean Goodwin in the studio because we were scheduled to get Sean on. Sean is actually going to step up, and in a really kind of different approach that Sean has taken. He's had success over the years. He was one of the dudes. He finished second at Lake of the Ozarks back, I believe it was in either the early 2000s or 1990s in that December snowstorm that took place on Lake of the Ozarks, where he was throwing a buzzbait.
Sweet.
Had 3 inches of snow on the deck of the boat, and he was throwing a buzzbait, very similar to what took place with Jim Morton at Grand Lake that we talked about numerous times on this show. So we'll try and get Sean in. He's actually going to step up, and he's going to fish the TWPC next year is what his plans are. Really different approach. The dude's been a corporate guy for 25 plus years, is really done a fabulous job from a career standpoint, and he's managed to be able to catch him really well during his time. He's also won the All-American. I mean, come on, Frank.
Which is no small feat, by the way.
No.
It's no small feat. That's fantastic. You know, the coolest thing about oddball patterns like that, buzzbait in the snowstorm thing.
Yeah.
To me, that's the coolest thing about fishing, is that sometimes the least thing that you would expect happens. And if you're fortunate enough to figure that out, it's game over.
Yeah.
Because you know, and I know, that there was probably not another soul throwing a buzzbait in that tournament.
Might have been a couple, because, you know, once the word that was back when everybody, you know, totally different situation back then. It was back then they were called invitationals, I think is what they were called.
Oh yeah. And you could communicate, you could talk. Do whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. In this day and age, if you find something that is very, very special,
let's call it obscure.
Yeah. that you're probably going to be one of the few guys doing that on the water. So yes, we will definitely try to get Sean, work around his schedule, because he has to make arrangements to be in studio because of his daytime job. So we'll get that done, and then I will continue to work on the schedule over the next couple of weeks. Now, the good news is Hey, we're back on Thursday with day 4, Frank.
And dude, we got mega announcements on day 4, guys.
Yeah.
I got to tell you real quick, okay? I picked the Boyo winner from the Boyo contest. And I'm going to be honest, there's 2 winners. Because I honestly could not decide. So there's 2 winners. We're going to announce them on Thursday. And then I'll DM the 2 winners to get information from them. And then I want to communicate with them in person. So it's going to be cool. There's 2 you guys. You did it up. And then I got other news, but I don't know. Should we do the other news now or what? Or
we'll do the other news now because I want to continue with good news because I do have a slight piece of bad news. It's not too bad. I mean, it's very recoverable if I get the cooperation here. So go ahead, Frank. Continue with the great good news.
All right. Okay. So I made a few phone calls, did a little bit of negotiation, and I wanted to tell you guys this 2 weeks ago. The Norman Fat Boy is in a bunch of my painted colors on LureNet available now.
That's awesome.
It's going to be a LureNet exclusive. So you got to get them, dude. I got some here. I could show them to you now. You want me to go through some?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if I'm going to do it in the package. Oh, I could do it in the package. Can you see that? Oh yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, I can blow it up if I can remember how. I don't know if I can remember how. Let's see.
Don't. I could open them too. I could take them out.
Let's see here. Oh yeah, here we go. We'll blow it up.
All right. Can you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is Harvest Moon. You know what? I'm taking it out. We're taking them out.
Don't hurt yourself, man. Don't hurt yourself.
It's child-proof, so I could have difficulty with this.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, real quick while you're doing that, we are going to get Bradley Hallman. He's going to be on here either this week or next week and kind of give an update on what he's got going on. So yeah, Bradley will be a part of the show here very soon.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's got stuff happening.
Yeah.
Look at that. Is that sexy? Look at that. This is called Harvest Moon. Very good color. I shot a video using this bait here and just plowed them.
Hey, wasn't that a Neil Young album, Harvest Moon?
Dude, you're reaching from the wrong guy, man.
Oh, I think it was.
I don't know music like you know music. Then this is another good color. I love this color too. Well, I like them all, obviously, because I painted them. So I like them all. This is Evu extra virgin olive oil because we got to be a little bit of an Italian in there. See how it goes from blue to purple?
Oh, wow.
And then olive on the back.
Yeah.
Extra virgin olive oil. This is a must-have, guys.
What'd you call that? Evo. Okay.
EVOO. If you watch the cooking channels, you'll know.
I don't partake in that.
Oh, come on, dude! The cooking shows are excellent. And then, of course, olive blue.
Yeah.
Blue pearl, semi-transparent, but it's got the white gut bag on it.
Yeah.
Another good one. These colors are fantastic, guys. No kidding.
That's awesome.
I was so happy because they were all going to be a product of the paint shop, and I said, no, we're not going to do that. We got to get these on the market. These are good. So
you got another one,
dude? I got. Okay. But I'll just show you one more.
Okay.
Since we're talking about the cooking channel, this is ghost pepper.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's got red metallic in it. I don't know if you could see the red metallic.
Oh,
there it is. There it is.
Yeah. Now people are wanting to know silent or rattle.
Ooh. It's got a nice single knocker in it. It's made out of butyrate. The sound is dull. It's a dull thud sound. The fish can really zero in on that.
Yeah.
It's not like a high frequency where they know there's noise, but they can't really hone in on it good. The duller the thud sound, the better the fish can hone in on it because he can pick it up easier with his lateral line. Fantastic baits, dude. And they're out. They're out right now, and they're loaded. They're stocked up with them. I'm so excited because if they went through LureNet, we would be waiting months and months and months for all 6 or 7 colors that are out there. And now they're available right now. So, I mean, I wanted to tell you guys, honest to God, I knew they were coming out before they came out. And if in 2 weeks earlier, you would have been the first people to know about this. So unfortunately, with the technical difficulties, we had to wait a little bit, and that's fine too, because it really hasn't been advertised. So the newsletter had them in it, and then there was a banner on LureNet. If you were to click on LureNet, you would have seen the banner. But there's plenty available, and dude, it's just been fantastic. I mean, I've been catching a lot of fish on them. Did some videos with them. It's just I'm so excited to just finally just have them in the lineup, and let's just sell these things. It's great.
So where can the general dude and dudette get this?
LureNet.com. It is a LureNet exclusive. That was the only way I can get them to release all the colors at one time.
Okay. All right. So it's not, is it going to be not retail distribution? No?
Nope.
Just LureNet.
Yes. LureNet exclusive. And it's in the regular lineup. They'll be able to buy them. You know, and yeah, it's great because it's just going to be part of the Norman lineup. But that particular set is a LureNet exclusive.
Hey, real quick, folks. Before Frank and I went live, we were talking about scary movies.
Oh,
and I'm not going to get into it, but listen to what just happened. You might notice a little different in the lighting. So I'm sitting here doing the show. The door just opened up, Frank. It just opened up.
I think your cat might have had something to do with that. Come on.
The cat is in the office. It just opened up.
There's no such thing as ghosts unless it's ghost pepper.
That's Mother Nature glad to see the show back is what it is.
That's
what
right.
The opening of the studio door right there. Jeez.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, the sunshine is gleaming on the set of BTL right now.
It does look different. It looks really high def.
When we go to a commercial, I'll run over there and shut the door, but that kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think it was your cat pawing in there just to say, what's Papa doing today? I haven't heard this in 2 weeks. What's he got going on?
No. All right. Here in a minute, we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back, and I want to pick your brain about a couple of things that have happened over this past weekend, and kind of reflect back to see if this situation has ever occurred in the fishing world and really in the professional fishing world. So I do want to mention this, though. I was looking on CNBC this morning, and a big-time player in professional bass fishing, Toyota, and Toyota trucks, Frank. I don't know if you saw this, but the 2022 model, no more V8 engine.
What are they all going, like EcoBoost or something?
The new 2022 Toyota Tundra is going to have a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6. They say that it can produce, including a hybrid version, can produce up to 437 horsepower, 56 more than the current V8.
Okay.
I don't know about that, man.
I'm confused on that.
Me too.
You know, I'm confused on that because it goes against everything we knew.
Yeah. I just wonder what the effect, because a lot of people out there, I think obviously if they still have the bonus bucks program, and that's a big reason why people buy Tundra trucks. But now there seems to be a lot of loyalty to the V8. Agreed?
Agreed.
And now all of a sudden they're going to a V6 with a twin turbo. I don't know about that.
I mean, what you got to ask yourself is, where's the torque coming from? And it's got to be geared different to torque it up to tow a boat. And then what's your gas mileage going to be when you're towing a boat with a smaller engine? I know it's a beefed up engine
with the twin turbo. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a beefed up engine, but where's the gas mileage going to go? Because I was always under the impression with our old standard motors that the bigger motors didn't have to work as hard.
Well, it says here that the new version is going to produce 56 more pounds of torque.
Okay.
Than the current V8, of which the current V8 has 583 pounds of torque.
Okay.
But still, that's going to be really, really interesting to see how the anglers across the country who are very loyal to Toyota, because obviously of the brand and then obviously the involvement that they have in all aspects of fishing. It'll be interesting to see what the general population thinks about that. Kind of in the way, because it's coming. I've seen photos. I've read stories. The electric outboard is coming, Frank.
No, they have them. They have electric outboards, and it's unreal. I mean, it's unreal. They have an electric dragster too, an all electric dragster.
Really?
Yeah, this thing. Here's the thing with electric. Okay, you go from 0 to full throttle now, like right now, and so they're unrealistically fast. It's crazy. It's crazy how it is. But the electric outboards, you have to wonder how long can they run at what speeds. You follow me?
Oh, 100%.
Because that's where you start to get dicey, because what's your travel range? And then the other thing that's dicey is how much weight and battery power are you going to need to keep that motor running all day? That's the other dicey issue.
Yeah. Go back to the electric truck or the hybrid truck or whatever. The long pulls, the long days, what's the range going to be? It'll be interesting to see what that is too, but It's coming. And I can't wait to see how the public responds to that.
I'm not a believer.
I'm kind of
sorry.
Kind of right there with you, man. Right there with you.
Sorry.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a break, come back, and we're going to get into some value. I'll just key it up that way. What is the value?
Okay, value.
All right. We're glad to be back, folks. Everybody stay tuned. Frank and I will be back after these short messages.
Right back.
Elite FS puts the full range of Lowrance fish finding tools at your fingertips. Find fish with active imaging 3-in-1 with Fish Reveal. Target fish with active target live sonar and watch fish react to your lure as it happens. Built-in C-Map Contour Plus charts make it easy to find key fishing areas. But best-in-class charts and powerful sonar is only the beginning. It's easy to build your fully networked FS system. From sonar and waypoint sharing to controlling the Ghost trolling motor and power pulls. Lowrance Elite FS. Targeting fish just got easier.
Basscat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from Basscat.
So, you're looking to buy fishing electronics, huh? Are you also looking for true experts to help guide you through it? Well, at the Bass Tank, you've come to the right place. We are live forward-facing sonar pioneers with thousands of hours spent learning through winning trophies, cashing checks, and just having fun. Whatever brand you need, we have it. We offer free shipping, and we have 2 financing options available. Our experts are here to help you. Call us today or visit thebasstank.com.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
I've made my living on the water for over 20 years.
For 14 years. For over 23 years.
I've worn a bunch of different clothing brands over the years.
Some companies big.
And some companies small.
All of them said they were making clothing for us.
But none of them knew us.
None of them were us. Except for one. Except for one.
Except one.
AFCO.
AFCO.
AFCO. AFCO.
Fishing isn't part of us. It is us.
Everyone, Brandon Polnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. I'm like, X-Zone Lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone Lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why.
The bite.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's pretty big. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
I think you get the point.
Everybody loves to chase bass on the water. But is your most valuable asset protected when it's not on the water? Empire Covers can preserve your bass boat against even the harshest conditions. When the storm is coming, that bass boat needs to be protected. Check out EmpireCovers.com for all your cover needs. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution when it comes to protecting that asset. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution in easy protection for your truck, for your boat, for your car, anything that needs to be protected from the elements. BTL listeners can receive free shipping plus an extra 15% off their entire order on EmpireCovers.com. Just use the promo code BTL at checkout. Empire Covers. Protect what you love. All right, we are back. So glad to be back. Mr. Frank Scalish filling in for Matthew as he tries to pursue the Elite Series. And I just received a text from our good friend Gene Gilliland, and he is going to be in studio tomorrow. As of right now, that's the plan. We're going to have Gene in studio. Perfect. And very excited to have Gene in there. Now, I mentioned I had a bit of bad news to pass along. You know, we've been an abundance of good news today, but part of what I lost with the hard drives crashing is the list of people and all the contact information I had for the people that were going to guest host. It's gone. So here's what I need. Here's what I need. If you were one of those people that I actually reached out and contacted and you still want to be a guest host, either sometime during the remainder of the year or going into next year when Matt's gone, just shoot me an email, mark@basszone.com. I'll get your info again, and we will get you booked. I apologize. I'm sorry. That's just, I had some of the stuff backed up, but it was rather old, and that information was not included in the backup that I had. So please, a little mercy on that one. Just reach out to me, and we'll do what we can to get you on. I know we were scheduled to have Bo on, and I have to get Bo rebooked. He reached out to me, realized all the challenges that we were going through, and we're going to have Bo on in the coming weeks, coming month. Definitely going to have Bo back on. So that's the bad news. The good news is with the locker room stuff that Frank and I have been doing, fortunately, all that information was kept on the cloud. So we have all the stuff that people sent in for the locker room. So over the remainder of this week and next week, I will be reaching out to get some locker room sessions scheduled with Frank. And that has been enormously successful for the people that have been able to spend time with Frank one-on-one and really get them clued in on what they need help on from a fishing perspective, from a tournament perspective, heck, just from a have fun perspective,
Right.
and catch more fish when you go out with the help of what knowledge and all the information that Frank's going to pass along to you. So that's the good news, Frank. A little bit of bad news, but we can recover from it. You know, we'll be okay.
That's not bad news. That's just inconvenient news.
Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't bad. I mean, the locker room's been great. I love you guys so much. It's been a lot of fun to do that. I'm very glad that, Mark was very instrumental in thinking up this idea, and I'm very glad he did, because I'm getting to meet a lot of guys across the country, and share a lot of the successes that they have after the locker room. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, cool stuff. All right,
Yeah.
a couple of questions real quick from fans. The baits that you showed earlier, they want to know, what is the depth range on those, Frank?
Runs about, I'm going to say 0 to 5. The nice thing about this square bill, it's got a very hard wobble to it, so it'll walk its way through grass as well as, wood and rock. The cool thing about this bait is it functions equally as well on 12-pound fluorocarbon as it does on 20-pound. So if you're really power fishing it in heavy timber, you can go to 20-pound. Now, the only difference is with the 20-pound, you're going to lose about 9 inches of depth on it, maybe 10. But 12 and 14 will run about the same depth, and 17 runs almost the same depth, but 20 will take you up about 9 inches.
All
but
right.
But it's fantastic. It's just a fantastic bait.
All right, cool. Now, a lot of people are wanting to know line size on that. What would you recommend?
Well, I judge my line size based on what I'm doing. Like here, for example, the video that I filmed, which is on LureNet right now, the video that I filmed, I was fishing it on 14. The reason I went to 14 was because most of what I was fishing was from the bank to 4 feet of water. And I was also fishing it in sparse grass. So I wanted the 14 to snatch it through the grass. When I would reel it in and I'd come in contact with some grass, I just give it a little snatch and it pushes itself right through the grass. Plus, I was also fishing blowdowns and rock, whatever was mixed in on these transitional banks, these little funnel points. So I went to the 14. A week earlier, I was fishing it on 12 because I was catching the fish off the ends of these flats where it drops from 5 feet to 8 or 9. I was catching them right on that curvature, right on that break line. So I was using 12 because I needed to get it a little bit deeper. But the pattern changed, because by the time I went to film the show, the pattern changed and the fish slid in more. The bait fish all got up. The wind was important for me that day because all the bait was on the windy stuff. So I wound up fishing the windy stuff and the fish pulled up a little bit shallower. So that's pretty much how I judge this thing. The cool thing about square bills is, I had a couple of places, and at the end of the video, I catch a pretty nice fish and actually lost one about 6 or 7 pounds. I made a real long cast with a short rod because I was target fishing all day. And I launched this long cast out because there was a high spot on the middle of this flat. And basically it was like offshore fishing with a square bill, but it was shallow stuff. You gotta be relative to the bait depth. And I bumped the high spot. I cast it out there. I mean, I launched the thing. In fact, my camera guy was doing a drone shot. And I said, well, let me keep fishing because I want to keep catching fish. I mean, we're getting some B-roll lined up, so let me just keep fishing. He goes, yeah, go ahead. I rifle this cast out there. I don't even get like 2 handle turns, and my rod loads up, and I lay back on that fish, and I couldn't get the fish moving towards me. Mm-hmm. And she came up, and you know how when they get so big, dude, they can't get themselves out of the water. She just had her nose in her face, like above the water, just thrashing back and forth. And I lost it. I'm like, oh my God, that was a giant. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, you could fish these things on shallow offshore structures as well, especially on lakes that draw down where you'll have offshore humps that in the summer might have 10 or 12 feet of water on them, fall drawdown, they're liable to have 4 feet of water on them. It's perfect for that. It's a perfect bait for that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, questions? You have more questions for Frank? Shoot him this way. I know it's not day 4, but this is good stuff to get into. It's
day 1, almost 4.
It kind of is day 1. All right.
It is day 1 after a 2-week hiatus.
Yeah.
This is an important day, Mark.
In the history of the show, that is the longest off period that we've had, even all the way back to the XM days. We've never been off for 2 weeks.
And I want to say, it wasn't even like you took a vacation for 2 weeks. You were like a big ball of stress.
Yeah. I'm doing my students will be very happy to see me today.
Yeah,
when I get to class. I've been a little stressed out because I've had other stuff going on that I've had to be responsible for from a live standpoint. So yeah, it is good to be in the place that we're in right now. All right.
Yeah.
As I was going through all this, let me ask you this. Did you ever have, and I think what it was called at the time, a boom box? You remember the rectangular?
I know what you're,
you never did.
No.
Okay. I still had one. And I still have one.
I'm sure you do.
Dude, I had to knock off the dirt on this thing. It was in the garage because nothing worked out here. And it was the only thing that I could listen to the OU game when I was working on this stuff. I really didn't get a chance. I watched a little bit of it during breaks and stuff, but it was kind of old school. I brought out the old JVC boom box and set it on the edit desk over there, and I was listening to the game. And this is what I want to get into. I'm going to bring it back to professional fishing, and then we'll go from there. But
what do we got to fish with boom boxes now?
No. The boom box. I wanted to know if you ever had one. You know, I didn't walk around with it on my shoulder or anything.
Liar.
No, I never did that. The antennas broke off. It had those split antennas that went like this.
Well, that's why they make coat hangers.
A good point. And most of our viewers have no idea what we're talking about by putting the coat hanger on where the antenna was, because it actually did work. Anyway, there has been a very big to-do and a lot of conversation here in the Oklahoma market about the quarterback who has been wildly praised as, the Heisman Trophy candidate. And there's been so many Heisman Trophy winners recently at the University of Oklahoma. But Spencer Rattler, because of this NIL thing, just signed a couple of deals. He signed a $500,000 deal with a chicken place called Raising Cane's here kind of in the Southwest.
Yeah, we have it here.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right, signed a deal with them. And then a local Dodge dealership gave him not just one, but 2 vehicles. That both of the vehicles valued close to $200,000.
Yeah, and the thing that's sucky about this right now is not that fact. It's the fact that all the guys that got suspended and lost their college football careers for taking things like, of getting a free tattoo or something like that. Yeah, well, yeah, right. Well, that's what spurred all of it on.
Okay, times have changed.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the money a football program makes for the colleges, the football programs make the money. That money is then doled out to the other sports in that arena. And I would say basketball is probably next, and then baseball. And so when you get your bat and ball sports pay for everything else that goes on in a college with sporting, multiple sports events.
Yeah, no, you're dead on. You're dead on. Mm-hmm. So now the fans, they're really, really kind of going after Spencer Rattler. And in previous years, the general fan, the really hardcore fan, when a guy at the forefront goes out and he doesn't have a good game or doesn't have a good 2 or 3 games, the sports talk call-in shows, they start to get after him. Like,
accountability.
What's going on here? Well, now, because this dude, Spencer Rattler, is making He's making a lot of money to play college football. There have been some sports talk radio personalities that have said, don't be too hard on this guy because he's just a college student. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't have it both ways.
No, you can't have it both ways.
This kid is more accountable than he has ever been.
Yes.
Simply because of the amount of money that he's making now because of the whole NIL situation. Now, here's how I'm going to take it back to bass fishing. And with the way that things were compared to the way that things are now, you don't ever see, and yeah, you see a little bit of it on social media, but when guys sign big deals, and there are guys that sign big deals in bass fishing, and yeah, a big deal may be, $50,000 a year, might be $100,000 a year, might be even larger for the 10 percenters. And I do believe that we do have fans out there of individuals that participate both on the Elite Series and on the BPT. If a guy goes out and really does not perform well, and he does sign that big deal, in this day and age, is the performance more important in the professional bass fishing world, even now, when you do have these deals that are coming out very similar to the Spencer Rattler situation? In other words, when you're getting paid, there is a responsibility that, hey, you better go out and catch them because we, the company, needs the exposure that we are paying you for. To where now has the situation changed? Because honestly, Spencer Rattler hadn't done squat. He's went out and he's played quarterback for the University of Oklahoma. A lot of hype. You got a lot of hype with this guy. And now, is there a lot? And for the first time in fishing, we're starting to see hype come out with certain individuals that have went through the college ranks. So now we've talked about it a zillion times on this show, Frank, the ability to go out and get decent to better deals signed with these companies when you haven't performed yet. Give me your thoughts on whether or not these young kids, and there are young superstars that are developing in this sport, are the endemic companies going to take a chance with these guys before they've reached that pinnacle of like a Spencer Sanders, or not Spencer, Spencer Rattler. Spencer Sanders is at OSU. Sorry about that. The dude hasn't won the Heisman yet. They haven't won a national championship. Heck, they haven't even won a Big 12 title yet.
Well, here's the thing, okay? And this is what we got to clear the little fuzzy part here.
All right.
An angler, a professional angler, when he catches them and he does well on the tour, gives him the credibility, okay? The credibility then attracts the sponsorships. But at the end of the day, if that individual can't market for that company, can't generate sales in long term and short term for their sponsorship, I don't care how many fish they catch, they're not worth the money. It's all about promoting your sponsor, that company that you work for. So an angler, you can have a marginal angler that everybody loves. He or she is a great personality. They do the marketing for that company. They're a great spokesperson. They're a stand-up individual. They don't have a train of baggage following them around. And he or she can be very successful, and actually more successful than a guy that can actually catch fish that nobody likes or that doesn't talk to the public. So when you're talking about sponsorships and bass fishing, you have to merge both worlds. You have to merge the personality of the angler, his likability, and can he market for the company with the ability to catch them enough to stay in the limelight. And that doesn't mean go out and win every event. You got to have some high finishes. You got to get some hype around you. Maybe you're in a shootout on a big tournament and you might fall down a few places and you don't win the thing, but you're still doing your job. You follow me?
Okay.
And that's really the most important thing with bass fishing and bass fishing sponsors is what are you doing for the sponsorship? Because big companies look at you, me, whoever's fishing professionally as a form of advertisement. So a big company is going to go, okay, we want to sponsor you to the tune of whatever X amount of dollars, but your cost per thousand has to be here, not here, here. In other words, we're paying you so much money to reach so many thousand people. And if that angler falls short of that, he's not worth the money they're paying him. That's the gauge. Okay. That's where the gauge goes. Whenever you're talking about marketing and advertising, and let's be real, sponsorship is nothing more than marketing and advertising for the company doing the sponsoring. And that's what the angler has to be aware of. And I think some of the guys today are a little more savvy about that. When I was coming in, most of the guys, and I'm going to get hate mail, most of the guys were clueless about that. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They thought that all they had to do is go out and catch fish and they were worth all this money. But that's not the case.
But that's the way it used to be, though. Was it? Was it not before all this madness that's taken place from an exposure, a digital exposure?
Yeah, what happened was the guys that caught the fish got all the television coverage.
Yeah.
And so they were more valuable. Okay. But it's not that way today. There's more ways to do marketing today. So being number one, look, being number one is the most valuable position you could be in any sport in the world, no matter what. It's that way in bass fishing, but you don't have to be to get enough sponsorship to actually make a living in this sport today. It's all based and predicated on your ability to do marketing, to understand it, to work with your sponsor, and to make a cohesive marketing relationship. And that's how it works today. And anglers today have so much at their fingertips with social media. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we never had, Mark. Let's be honest. We never had that.
All right, let me ask you this, because this happens all the time in every other sport, including individual sports. Did anybody ever give you, or did you ever witness any angler getting the razz? In other words, walking by a weigh-in line and you go up there and everybody's weighing in 20 pounds and you've got 6.5, and you're walking down the stairs, you walk by this crowd. Hey, Frank, you suck. You ever get that?
Yeah. Yeah. Underrated.
Yeah.
You know, same thing. Same thing. It's a sport. It's a sporting event. You have to know it's coming. You do. You have to know it's coming. The cool thing about bass fishing, though, is everybody has favorites, and every fisherman has lakes that they just traditionally fish well on. Yeah. For whatever the reason, that lake clicks for that dude. You know what I mean? So even and the cool thing. Well, I don't know if it's the cool thing, but the thing I notice mostly with professional fishing is that you're only as good as your last event. And that's the way it goes until the Angler of the Year points come out. And then you're like, haha, you know what I mean? But yeah, but it's true. You know, it's very true. It's a very up and down sport. The one thing I didn't realize when I did it was the emotional highs are incredibly high. The emotional lows are just as low. You know what I mean? It's hard to keep in that. Like I remember the first classic that I qualified for, I had a crappy performance. I think I finished 40th. It was when the classic was still done Ray Scott style. Okay. Yeah. So you got an itinerary sheet, and every minute of every day you had to be somewhere. You didn't have a second to yourself. And I've never experienced anything like that in my life. So it was just like, I got this packet. I go down to Birmingham with this, I get this packet, and I'm like, holy crap, I got to be here in 2 hours for what? And then, and then boom, 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 boom. And then even when you practiced, Okay. They did dry runs for the weigh-in. So you took a writer out with you. I happened to take one day, I went out with Darcy Egan, he's a outdoor writer for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Fantastic dude. One of my favorite people on earth. And he went out with me, and my first classic I ever made, my rookie season on the elites, but back then it wasn't the elites. It was the top 150
BP 150s.
BP 150.
Yeah.
And so we got to go out, and he got to weigh in his biggest fish because we did a dry run, so they'd make sure all the, kind of like we did last night with the show, do the dry run. So you're driving to the arena, you're doing all the stuff, and dude, you're killing it the entire day. And so it's not like you're really, really practicing. You know what I mean? You're not really doing it. You go out, you catch a few, you got to be back at the ramp at a time. You got to be at the arena at a time, and you got to go through the process. So it was really crazy. It was nothing like I've ever experienced before in my life. I felt very pushed through it. So anyway, the classic comes.
Yeah.
And we go. And we weren't allowed to take our boats then. We had to use the provided boats. And my boat at the time was a little missile, and I could run Lay Lake from end to end 3 or 4 times in the course of a day. And I was playing current. I'm not making excuses. I sucked up the joint, but I was playing current, so I can run to the river when they were pulling. When the river current slowed down, I could run to the dam and get the current by the dam when all the water stacks up and then starts going through the dam. So anyway, long and short of it is the boat I had only ran 55 miles an hour, and I couldn't do it. I only made the trip once. And so what I wound up doing was staying mid-lake and just died. I just died on the vine. But anyhow, I remember that when the classic was going on, the feeling that I had was so emotional and so almost like borderline anxiety. It was like, whoa, it was just crazy. And then, guys, the next day, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Everybody's breaking stuff down. Everybody's going home, and there's no more hype. There's no more nothing. And I remember driving home from Alabama almost in shock. I didn't even talk hardly all the way home because it was just like the classic, and then you get there, and then it's over, and you're driving home, and it's like. So I said, man alive, I said, I gotta realize that somehow I gotta find some middle ground here. And so then I started fishing like that. I started fishing like, okay, it's going to be up and down, so I'm not going to worry about the emotional ride. I'm just going to focus on catching them. And then the next classic that I made, it was not that style anymore. And we had tons of time to be by ourselves, or like I brought my wife down and we did all kinds of stuff. We hung out, we went out to eat. All my buddies came in from the people that I met from all over the country. They all came in, and we went out to eat, and it was like normality. And then then that classic, I wound up finishing 20th, had a really good practice. And then the water dropped on me and the fish vacated, but I still caught a lot of fish, just not as big. And, but that classic wasn't as up and then way down, that was kind of middle of the road because I could be myself. I could do the things I like to do. I could relax when I needed to relax. It was more like a regular tournament. And I thought it was way more fun. The first one was crazy because it was the first one. But the second one was way more fun, way more laid back. And I really enjoyed it. Like the first one, I didn't enjoy. I was just shell shocked. But when the format changed, what they did with the anglers, it was very much more enjoyable. And a lot of the guys back then were like, man, do you remember the last one? Holy crap, we did this and we did that. And I go, yeah, but isn't this great? And they go, this is a blast. We hung out. It was cool. I mean, it was cool.
That is cool. Was that the one, the Lay Lake Classic? Was that the one that Jay Ellis won?
The first one was the one Yellis won.
Okay.
And then the next one KVD one.
Okay. All right,
KVD one at rattle bait in the stumps in the back of that creek.
all right. Now I want to ask you the next question, and I might get some emails or phone calls from some of the guys out there on tour, but this is what I want to address. 8 events, maybe 9 events. In some cases, maybe 10, 12 events, maybe more than that if you're fishing multiple tours.
Yeah.
But in reality, okay, I'm going to go with kind of a median. Let's say guys are fishing 10 tournaments a year.
Okay.
This is what you have chosen to do. 10 weeks out of the year, unless you do all the madness and pre-fishing and camp out for a month and do all that.
Right.
But I'm just going to say 10 events per year. Does this game, and it doesn't matter what organization you're in, does this sport, does this game need to have more showcase events? And I'm going to give you an example. What do you think the fans' response would be if you had a one technique event, let's say crankbaits, all right? And you're not limited to a brand of crankbait. Obviously, if you're sponsored by
or a depth range,
whatever. I mean, you're sponsored by, Pradco or Norman or whatever, Strike King, it doesn't matter. And you have to use a crankbait during that event. That's the only lure that you can use, or have spinnerbait events, or have jig events, or chatterbait events, or whatever it is, to where it totally showcases this one technique. And maybe you put the field size at 50 to where it truly becomes a showcase event. And I don't want to compare it to the WCF events that we've talked about that
Right.
used to be there. The whole racing thing, that was kind of cool, and I really liked that.
Yeah,
I know
I
you
did
did
too.
too.
I did
But think
too.
about this. You give the guys an additional opportunity, if they choose to have a showcase event with a showcase technique of which they can still earn money from, but more importantly, they can showcase that one particular brand and technique to the fans, and the fans could really rally and kind of build even more of a following for these particular anglers utilizing whatever technique would be for that featured event. What are your thoughts?
I hate it.
Why? Tell me why.
Well, because what you're doing is, unless you time it perfectly, okay,
Which you
You're-
would have to. You would have to do that.
but that's all predicated on weather and a lot of other variables that are uncontrollable. So what would happen is, let's say you're going to go, hey, we're going to go do this crankbait only event,
Yeah.
and then you get a system that blows out and gets pure mud, right?
Yeah.
So then the only crankbait that might come into play is a square bill, okay?
Okay.
And then everybody's on the bank, ripping down the bank, throwing square bills.
No, you think the fans would like to see that, though? I mean, fans, you tell me.
Yeah,
Throw it out
fans,
there on the instant.
fans, bring it up. Come on, guys, bring it up.
Yeah.
I say no. I like here. I think that. Okay, well, we'll talk about hate mail later. I think I think what has to happen is you have to have tournaments in every part of the season,
Yeah.
because then the more versatile angler is going to come out on top. So you have to have winter event. You've got to have, a spring event way before the bass decide it's even pre-spawn time. You got to have the pre-spawn spawn event. You got to have the post-spawn event. You got to have a summer event. Okay. And then you take it into early fall, late fall, and then of course winter would start the new season again.
Yeah.
Then what you're going to see is guys that are really versatile start rising to the top. Because what's happening now is, okay, and I get it, because nobody wants to watch a tournament with nobody catching fish.
Yeah.
They're focusing on areas that they know the fishing is astronomical, okay, with maybe the exception of, Dardanelle or something like that, but they're focusing on these fisheries that are astronomical. So it's becoming a, northern. Everyone can't wait for the northern flows because it's all smallmouth all the time, except then don't get me wrong. There's phenomenal largemouth fishing up north, so you could do both, easily do both, as you saw in St. Clair.
Yeah.
So, but it's a fish fest. Okay, they hit the St. Lawrence River at the most. If God told them you got to be there on this day, that's how perfectly they hit the St. Lawrence. Every big giant female was coming up to spawn. The fish were packed. It was ludicrous. Okay, this is like manna from heaven.
Yeah.
All right. But if you make it so you might be on a flatland reservoir, a river type reservoir, natural lake. Go take the natural lake, Florida, to the Great Lakes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And put them on different areas where absolute different techniques have to play. I think that's more interesting. And well, for me, it is, because I like to see everything.
Yeah.
I don't like one-dimensional events. I really don't.
I get it. And dude, no, another screwed up idea from my dude. It wasn't my idea. I just threw it out there. I wanted to see what people thought. It's not my idea. All right.
Look,
I'm not going to bat on this one. I just wanted to know. So come on, David. Throw me a little bit of slack here. Jeez.
Hey, Mr. Bass, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
No, you know what? The nice thing about this is you got to throw out the obscure, because that's what makes the show go back and forth.
Yeah.
There's always a yin and a yang. There's a yes and a no. You know what I mean? And I love it, because if I agreed, I would go, yeah, okay, I agree.
No,
and the show would be over.
You make some valid points. I just threw it out there. Heck, I know from an amateur standpoint, they have frog tournaments, and I think they've had jerk bait tournaments in the
they do single lure tournaments here too a lot.
Yeah. All right. Barry says, I would prefer a pro team event or an all-star tourney between leagues. I think Barry and everybody else would like to see that.
Dude, I'm 100%, 1,000% in agreement. I would love to have a pro team tour. I would sign up tomorrow for it.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Merging the two tournament trails and pinning guys against each other has been my idea for 20 years. It needs to be done.
I agree, man. I agree 100%. So, man, see, it's good to be back, man. I'm getting hate already. Frank.
Isn't it great?
Here I am talking about you walking off the stage to see if somebody said that you sucked, and I'm getting hate already. So things are back to normal, man.
I've heard it. and I have sucked before. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah,
it's a professional sport. What are you going to do?
Is.
Sometimes you wake up and you should have never got out of bed.
Yeah, that happened about 2 weeks ago. So, geez. Oh, Junior wants to know who would be your pro partner if you had to pick a pro partner.
Don't you wish, kid?
Is he lobbying, Frank? He's
lobbying hard and heavy right now. I would take my son just because it's fun, and he's a good stick, and we would catch him.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I was going to do this at the beginning of the show, and I just had too much. Today is my youngest son's birthday. He's 22 today. Happy birthday, AJ. I know him and his football friends, they listen and watch the show. So a shout out to AJ, and we got him a really, really cool gift. Not going to get into it. Frank knows all about it. It is going to be an amazing thing for his 22nd birthday. And happy birthday, AJ. And I'm glad the show is back so you and your football friends can partake in a little BTL.
Happy birthday, Junior.
Yeah. So AJ, big 22. I can't even remember what I was doing when I was 22. I think I was still in college.
I don't know what the hell I was doing at 22.
I couldn't tell you.
I know I was fishing somewhere or on a date.
Yeah. All right, real quick, and then we'll go to break. People are wanting to know, if you had to pick a pro and not your son, who would that be to fish a team tournament? Can I guess?
You can.
You want me to guess?
You can.
Jonathan?
He was right up on top of my list.
Okay.
Yeah. See, you gotta pick a guy that is complementary to what you do.
Yeah.
But also has a knowledge base similar to yours. So, you know, you need a shallow water guy and a deep water specialist. You got to have a little mix because the pattern can be anything, you know what I mean? And so you look for the complementary stuff where one guy's weakness could be another guy's strength. And that's kind of how the team tournament game should be played. But more importantly, you got to have somebody that you get along with, because team tournament fishing could be like a really bad marriage.
I agree. But I can see you and Jonathan having some good karma there.
Yeah, we would smoke it. No question. There's a guy, I'll be honest with you. There's a guy that I ran some of the opens with. His name is Kurt Johnson. He's a good friend of mine. Fantastic fisherman. We fish exactly the same almost. And he's a serious angler. Really good dude. He would be in the mix. I don't think he's as well known because he just never wanted to fish the elites. He just did the opens for fun. Yeah. But he always kicked major butt in them.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
Cool stuff. All right, we're going to take our final break, come back and wrap things up here on a Monday with Frank. Everybody stay tuned.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed, tested and proven by legends on the water, dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro, Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Duck It Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's one or two techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action is a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect. There's one.
You know what works. Now you need a bunch of them so you don't run out on your next fishing trip. The Big Bite Pro Packs feature 25 baits per pack at a price far below that of having to buy 5 packs of regular baits. Now the Pro Pack has a big brother, the Mega Pack. The Mega Pack features 100 of your favorite baits.
With these, one bag is usually plenty to get through the day. It helps me stay organized, helps me save money, helps me catch more fish.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get,
it's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Little John family of crankbaits designed by top tour pro John Cruz have excelled at catching bass in any condition for years. They all feature a flat-sided design and paint jobs that are seldom seen in mass production bait. The Little John family also expands with new rattling versions of the Little John 50 and Little John 50 MD. Both of these baits are proven fish catchers that will now be available in rattling versions for stained and muddy water. They feature the same great action and diving depths as the original 50 and MD sizes.
The Ned Rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned Rig? My favorite is the Denali Lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length, great Ned Rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali Lithium Series 7'4" multi-spin.
All right, we are back, wrapping up Monday with my good friend Frank Scalish. And hey, man, real quick, somebody wanted to know, not on the YouTube comments, over on the Bass Zone instant feedback, have you ever worked with trying to come up with a weedless treble hook?
No, I never really played with that too much. They have them out there. They're tied wire hooks on the trebles. The little wire weed guard goes over each hook. I never really monkeyed with it because I don't have too many issues with snagging them up. I just don't. It's just probably the way, because I've been fishing crankbaits for so long. I probably just developed a knack for walking it through cover and snatching it through grass. So I never really thought that was super, super important. Not saying it's not important. I just never thought. I never took time to do it. You know. Yeah. I have to go back to the team thing because I got one other guy.
Okay.
Remember Paul Horoski?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. Him and I fished 5 or 6 team events together, and let's just say we're not allowed to do that anymore.
Okay.
We just hammered him.
Didn't he have the channel lock?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Channel lock gambler.
Yeah.
And Paul's a really heck of a fisherman. And him and I have had so much success fishing together. And we became friends on tour. I mean, that's where we met. Most of my good friends, that's where we met on tour. There's just a good group of guys. I mean, it's just been great. So it's hard. It's a hard choice for me, as I digress back to a subject that's over.
was he a pharmacist? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about that, man? That's
dude, you are on the money, man. Yeah. Do you remember when we were fishing Lake Erie and he ran in front of us, caught a 3.5 pounder?
I remember that.
Yeah. He was trying to clue me in that I am fishing way too deep. And and so after that, I'm like, Paul, you should have just told me, dude, you're fishing too deep. And it would have worked out. It would have worked out better instead of me going, why the heck did he do that? You know what I mean?
Oh man. No, I remember his rap. His rap was one of the coolest raps on tour.
Yeah.
That channel lock rap was impressive.
It fit the boat perfect. You know what I mean? If you think about how it laid out on the side of his boat, it was perfect. Yeah. That was a cool deal.
What's he doing now? Any idea?
Pharmaceutical stuff. He fishes a lot of local tournaments. He hunts a lot too. So, he's always on the water or in the woods. Or in the office.
Wow. He was a cool dude. That was a very, very cool dude on tour and had a really cool looking rap, as I mentioned.
Yeah. He was a smart guy. He's a
pharmacist, for crying out loud. Yeah, he's a smart dude.
He is a very smart guy. He I mean, I don't think he fished his potential when he was running Bassmasters. I think he encountered so many problems along the way with outside things. Like I remember one time we went to Amistad, and I probably shouldn't even talk about this crap, but his identity got stolen and they took all his money.
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the kind of stuff this kid had to deal with all the time. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? How do you go somewhere? You travel all the way across the country to find out you have nothing in the bank because somebody took it all. You know what I mean?
That's devastating.
Yeah. Oh, devastating. And so, and then focusing on fishing, knowing that you don't have a dime. You know what I mean? You can't access a nickel. And so, yeah, so I mean, that's the kind of stuff he fought with a lot. He won the Erie event. The Erie event I took fourth on, he won it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know.
Well, you and I both know there's guys out there, different situation, that didn't get a check. They're going, I'm going to have to sell some rods and reels to get home and get gas money. Agreed?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In the beginning days of my stupidity, trying to do everything out of pocket, I had a couple buddies of mine, and if, you know, one of us did good in an event, and the other dudes, you know, didn't, like, I've given guys my credit card to go home so they had money to get gas money to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how we used to be.
I know, man. All right. Great stuff. Folks, we are back. Thank you, Frank. Thank you for all your support during
pleasure.
these past 2 weeks. And do you know what we're going to talk? Are we going to continue the September discussion on Thursday, dude?
Yes. Day 4. We're going to get through fall transition. We're going to announce the Boyo winners. I'm going to bring up the Fat Boys again, just in case there's guys that aren't listed, that, you know, weren't tuned in today. I'll bring up the Fat Boys. I won't get into it in detail. I'll just mention that they're available now. But yeah, it's going to be fantastic, dude. Thursday's going to be a great show. The fall transition is underway. Our nights have starting to get where you wake up in the morning and you need, you know, a hoodie and long pants. So
not down here, dude. 97 today in Oklahoma. 97.
All right. Okay. Sorry about your luck, man.
Yeah,
you know, you can move above the Mason-Dixon line.
Whatever. They're gonna put me in the dirt here, dude. I'm here for however long that I can survive the remainder of what days I got left.
There's nothing wrong with that. I love all across this country.
Yeah.
Every part of this country is fantastic for a lot of different reasons.
All right, cool stuff. Thanks again, Frank. All right, tomorrow, folks, right now, tentatively, we're going to have Gene Gilliland in studio tomorrow, kind of give us some behind-the-scenes stuff about what takes place from a fish care standpoint on the Bassmaster Elite Series. And Gene and I go way back. He was the whole reason, part of the reason why I kind of got into what I was doing in the early stages of the Bass Zone. It was actually one time, Frank, I don't know if you know this, it was called fishok.com. That was the first website. It was called FishOK.
Did not know that.
Yeah, I remember the very first time I met Gene. He lived in the neighborhood that I lived in. Drove by his house, got out of the car. He was working on his boat. I walked up to him and I said, "You're Gene Gilliland, right?" "Yeah." "Hey, is there any way you can introduce me to Ken Cook?" Never met him before in my life. And I was trying to go through him to meet.
Way to make a dude feel good. Hey, are you so and so? Can you introduce me to this other pro?
I was an idiot. Anyway, so good stuff. So Gene tomorrow, and then go to basszone.com to find out what the remainder of the schedule. I'll work on the schedule this afternoon after I get out of class with my great students. And they're going to have a happy teacher today.
Who will love you today.
That is right. All right. Back on Thursday with Frank, everybody. Once again, thank you so much. Please continue sending the feedback. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can, and we will start booking the locker room sessions here. Probably start that on Wednesday, reaching out to people and get stuff booked for the following week. So thank you for all the patience. That's it, Frank. We're out of here, dude.